Raid World War II is finally upon us, bringing us into World War II and putting us back into a very familiar feeling game. This is a game that for the past few months has been pushed by Overkill on the merits of being a spiritual successor to Payday 2 fans, courtesy of the Overkill Software YouTube channel. If this is truly meant to be a spiritual successor to Payday 2, the spirit is all but missing from this game. I've really been struggling with how to properly address the issues in this game as well as the positives, so I decided to break it down as such. I'll talk about the general background of the game, the things it does well, the things it does not so well, and then end on my hopes for future updates and installments in this series. Created by Lion Game Lion. What's with that name anyways? Lion Game Lion? How about Duck Duck Goose? Where did they get that from? Raid World War II puts you in control of one of 4 raiders, not heisters, raiders. 4 undesirables who are given an opportunity to fight back against Hitler in exchange for the opportunity to live out new lives and also pick up some Nazi gold along the way. Does this sound kind of familiar a little bit to another game you guys might have played at some point? Sort of, kind of, a little bit. Each of these characters also brings along a class with them, though the classes can be chosen independently of the character. 4 characters, 4 classes. The first character is Kurgan, the second is Rivet, next up is Wolfgang, and then last we have Sterling. Hailing from Russian, German, English, and American backgrounds, each character has their own little personality in game, although it really doesn't do much as far as adding to the experience. Occasionally you might hear a funny voice line, but the voice lines tend to kind of repeat quite a bit. Classes are broken down into 4 different ones: Assault, Recon, Demolitions, and Insurgent. Each of these 4 classes has what's called a war cry. Basically, it's like a kill streak type thing. You kill a whole bunch of Nazis, kill a whole bunch of people, your war cry will be ready, you can use it, and it gives your team a short little buff. The recons will make it so that your team gains increased range damage. It'll also give you like basically an aimbot where it'll kind of help you aim assist to different targets. Honestly, it's more counterintuitive and more of a pain in the ass than what it's worth, so I don't recommend it at all. There's also the Assault class, which is probably the best one right now. Their war cry will make it so that the entire team will instantly recover some of their health when the war cry is activated, and you'll also be able to fire more shots without having to reload so much. Next up is the Insurgent, so you will gain increased movement speed for the entire team while your war cry is active, and you become harder to hit. And then last but not least, the class that I actually chose, and the one that I currently play as, is the Demolitions class. So for your war cry, your entire team becomes more resistant to damage while the war cry is active. And your grenades basically turn into little cluster bombs, so whenever you throw out your grenade, it explodes and kind of pops out multiple times in area around it. The game unfolds across several different missions, raids, and operations. Operations are unlocked through finding various books in the game that give you details about Nazi operations, and allow you to undertake multiple levels in exchange for better experience at the end. In the 2 that I didn't actually encounter any new levels per se, but rather slightly modified routes and objectives within already existing levels in the game. Not a problem with me though. There are also smaller missions that are typically 1 level long that offer better rewards and gold opportunities, such as Forest Convoy, or the infamous Rogue Gallery, which is basically just an asset flip of the jewelry store level from Payday 2. Let's talk about a few things that I think this game does well. Overall, I enjoy the gameplay. Yes, it's pretty mindless shooting and killing, but as far as that goes, it isn't bad. The levels for the most part are interesting. Not all of them are as fun or as interesting as others though. Gold Rush stands out as a pretty fun level to me. It has a lot of cool things going on, and it was a really fun one to play my first time through, and I was genuinely invested into it. Amber Train was also pretty cool. Having some nice set pieces, such as whenever you have to take the AA guns and shoot down the airplanes. A little cheesy, but not bad. I like how character customization is already in the game. Many of the outfits are unlocked through levels, though some can be purchased with gold. You can also get access to various cards throughout the game that are one-time use that will allow you to either gain a buff or give you increased experience at a cost of some other thing in game. Like for example, enemies can only be damaged with headshots, but then you also gain a whole bunch more experience at the end. It's kind of a cool little thing, basically like the mutators from Payday 2, except it's actually worth playing with because it's going to give you something extra in return, rather than basically penalize your experience with something by having it. I've seen a lot of talk about the difficulties and people thinking it's too hard. I think honestly the difficulty is probably okay right now for the most part. It is quite a big difference from normal to hard. I will totally admit that and say that it's a big difference going from those two. I would say the biggest problem with the difficulty is not so much the damage you take, but the fact that there's just so many enemies. There's just tons and tons and tons of them, and getting shot from like 50 million different directions. There's no shield to kind of buffer out some of that damage, and of course you have to kind of scavenge and scrounge to find health and mash F on the ground to find health. I think that's what kind of artificially inflates the difficulty. It's not so much like the fact that the enemies do too much damage, it's just there's other mechanics in the game that are making that seem a lot more intense than what it actually is. The flame waffles, as I call them, the guys with flamethrowers, are pretty easily dispatched by grenades or a few well-placed shots. They can and will wreck your shit if they get a chance to, and they're definitely the most difficult enemy in the game currently. So that's basically about it for the things that I think the game does really well. Now let's talk about the things that it does not do very well. First off, voice acting.
We have to leave now. My partner, they went to hide at the Airfield H2.
The voice acting in this game is god-awful. The only characters that are done remotely well are Mrs. White, Rivet, and John Cleese. Every single other character in this game is awful. The most notable are the German characters, who sound a lot like when South Park makes fun of a German person on the show, except without the comedy. Sound design. The guns don't sound too bad, but the music and soundtrack repeats often, and there is a distinct lack of variety and build-up like in Payday 2. Not to mention, whenever you actually finish a mission, the music just cuts off, you get a loading screen, and then you go into the next Hitler FMV, whether or not you win or fail, which doesn't really do a whole lot to kind of immerse you or make you like the game. Speaking of the Hitler FMVs, these are all cringy and they're terrible. The guy who plays Hitler barely looks anything like him, his accent is just as awful as the rest of the voice actors, and the scenes are just stupid. There's no nice way for me to put it. I know some people enjoy these things, but I think they're just dumb. Also piggybacking off of the loading times, let's talk about whenever you fail a heist and load times in general. When you fail a level, you have to sit through a loading screen, watch a stupid Hitler FMV, return to base, reselect the mission, gather up at the exit, ready up, sit through a loading screen, and then try again. Now you can get around this by restarting the mission before you lose, but why should that be the case? Does Lion Game Lion really want us to sit through the cringe fest as the Hitler FMVs that badly? The load times are also very long, especially when doing online. It just seems like there'd be a lot better way to handle this, like for example, you lose and then maybe if they really want to play the stupid Hitler FMV, they can play it real quick or put it out there and then you can just hit, escape or cancel, and it lets you go back into the level rather than have to get kicked out and go back to the base and then start all over again. One of the big draws of Payday 2 is the ability to freely choose whatever weapons you wish. The game locks them behind class restrictions in some cases and forces you to grind out various kills, such as headshots, hipfire shots, or just general kills, or in the case of some of the sniper rifles, kills over a certain meter range in exchange for getting superior stats in your guns. Even worse, these upgrades are oftentimes really far away. Like the last gun I got was I think at around level 15, 14-ish, and I'll get a secondary at level 18, and then I won't actually have another primary weapon until level 38. Put it in perspective, I'm level 18 right now, so yes, 20 more levels until I get a new weapon to use. Unacceptable. Also, why is the Luger pistol in Payday 2 but is not included in Raid? Like what the hell, Lion Game Lion? Gold. Gold has very few uses right now in Raid World War II, and is pretty much akin to offshore cash in Payday 2. The only thing that's remotely interesting is that you can buy a couple cool cosmetic outfits for your character with it. Other than that, you can buy a few things for your base, but other than that, nothing really else you can do. The classes. There are only 2 classes in Raid worth your time. The main one is Assault, which is not what I picked, because the Assault can heal you and your team. It is highly valuable for this reason. It also gives access to great weapons. It has good survivability. I picked the Demolition class, which is also good. The special ability lets you take less damage and also makes your grenades like supercharged where you can clear out tons of enemies, which is good because there's lots of enemies in this game that kind of hoard up on you, but probably less useful than Assault overall. Bring a whole team of Assault, maybe 1 or 2 demo guys if you really want to, skip the other classes and you'll do great. Lion Game Lion tries to reinvent tried and true game conventions and fails. You have to pick up ammo and bandages, which usually means you mash F furiously on the ground over loads and loads of dead bodies trying to find precious ammo and health. Payday and conventional games solve this by simply having you pick up things on the ground whenever you walk over them. This has been the case for 2 decades. Why not in Raid? If I had to guess, it probably is because they didn't want one person being able to grab all the ammo or all the health, unintentionally or intentionally, because they chose not to put in health bags or ammo bags, similar to Payday 2. Why not? That'd be probably a much better system than what we already have in the game, which is kill people, cross your fingers that you hope that they drop something you need, search all the boxes everywhere, mash F on the ground. Speaking about killing people, the enemies all feel pretty much the same. With the exception of the Flame Waffle, all the enemies feel exactly the same and react pretty much exactly the same. To kill the enemies, you need to have guns, you need to have teammates, or if you don't have teammates, you need to have the team AI. And let me tell you about the team AI. The team AI is worse in this game and less responsive than the current AI in Payday 2, which is hard to imagine. Like seriously. It's like they just brought in the AI from the release of Payday 2 without any of the improvements from the game. The most egregious of which is the fact that the AI gets stun locked to hell and back when they get shot. If an AI teammate gets caught in the open by multiple enemies or maybe a machine gun nest, they're probably dead, and good luck getting them back because you'll probably get mowed down trying to get them back. Flame Waffles tend to destroy your teammates pretty quickly too, making them near worthless against one of the only reasonably difficult enemies in the game. The grind. It takes forever to level up in this game, requiring you to grind out multiple levels over and over ad nauseum in an attempt to get to the next level. Now, you would think that different raids would result in different experience payouts, and you would be wrong. They all pay the same within the same difficulty tier, with the exception of any crates you get, which may give you a bonus to your XP. On the one hand, it might encourage you to play any level. Since they're all the same as far as XP goes, you probably won't show a preference to any one level in particular. Of course, we know that's not how reality works, and people are just going to grind out the quick and easy missions like hunters in order to level up faster. Which also brings me to my next issue, the levels. First off, there's not really any level that I despise. The problem I have is that in some levels, it is against your interest to play the objectives. For example, in escort missions, like Bunker Buster, you don't have to protect the prisoners at all. You can simply let them walk out into the gunfire, die, leave, and collect the same amount of experience points. Or you can try to protect them as they go through these open fields with dozens and dozens of Nazis converging down on you, risk dying repeatedly, risk failing the mission, extract them, and get the same amount of experience at the end. Why play the objective when you don't need to? If you do happen to die in a mission, then good news, there's some nice cheesy respawn mechanics you can take advantage of. Because Raid has no medkits or ways to restore your downs like in Payday 2, after you're down 3 times or if your team fails to revive you, you're put into a timeout for a brief period of time, about 1 minute and 30 seconds. After that time, you magically come back to life with full ammo, full health, and full downs. In many cases, it makes more sense to simply kill yourself before a big push so as to get back ammo and health. Or in cases where things go seriously wrong, hide and wait for your teammates to respawn, and then push out and take down the enemy. John Cleese. Yes, this is a complaint I have. How much money did they spend getting John Cleese to appear in a game for about 5 minutes and do a couple hundred voice lines? First off, I'm willing to bet the vast majority of people who play this game don't even know who John Cleese is, nor do they probably care. I know of him because of his work with Monty Pythons. In 2017, I don't really care that much about John Cleese though. John Cleese has been in many movies over the years, some of which I like and some of which I don't care for. He's voiced many games. He is by all metrics a great actor. I can't imagine how much money they had to spend to get him to be in this game, and to be front and center like he is. I was shocked when they got him for Payday 2. How did they get him for this steamer? The budget. Believe it or not, Lion Game Lion was given $8 million to make this game. Yes, $8 million. First off, you know they didn't have to use much of that money for the engine. The game runs on the Diesel engine, the same one that made Payday 2. The reason stated for this in the past was because it was, and I'm paraphrasing here, a great engine and something the developers are familiar with. Okay, and what do you have to show for this? A Payday 2 reskin that's not as good as Payday 2. Raid World War II has not sold a lot of copies, and to put it in perspective, according to SteamDB, this game has had an all-time high concurrent player base of about 1,530, so 1,530 people. Comparing this to a few other very fine titles, the highest concurrent player base for Evolve Stage 2 on October 2nd was 490, and the highest for Bejeweled 3 was 326. So basically right now, this game is about as popular somewhere between Evolve and Bejeweled 3. I could probably go on about it if I thought, but I think that's sufficient. Now I want to be clear about some of the things I've said here today. Many of these things could conceivably be fixed through patches, but I cannot recommend a game based on what may or may not happen at some point in the future. You have to look at a game at how it is when it is released, not what it might be or what it could be. What this game is right now is an overpriced Payday 2 reskin that comes nowhere close to matching the spiritual successor it's trying to live up to. If this game was $15 or $20, then maybe I could recommend it. But at $35.99 for the regular edition and $58.49 for the special edition, there is no way this game is worth anywhere close to that. Save your money, guys, and buy something else. If you guys want to buy a truly inventive, a truly unique, a truly good game, it's not a shooter, but you'll enjoy it and you'll love it, go buy Cuphead. Cuphead just came out and it's $20. Basically about half the price of Raid World War II, and it's a much better game. Now some of y'all might be like, oh, actually, it's apples to apples, not the same. It's a better use of your money, is what I'm getting at. Wait for a sale, guys, don't buy this, and don't be fooled by the fact that, oh hey guys, it's Almir here, and we're doing a quick little a video update about updating new content for Payday 2. It's going to be about a minute video, and then we're going to do about a 6-minute dev diary for Lion Game Lion for the Raid World War II beta, which you guys will enjoy very much. It's not the reskin. Did I mention that Ilya the Sniper is on the dev team? He did the voice acting work for Ilya the Sniper in Payday 2. You guys like Payday 2, you like Ilya the Sniper whenever he is a mission asset. So therefore you probably like Lion Game Lion's game Raid World War II. Out now, right now on PC, and coming to consoles in a few weeks. Don't buy into that, guys. Save your money, make them earn it. If you've picked up Raid World War II, or if you're waiting to pick it up, or if maybe you've watched some footage online and you have an opinion about it, please leave me a comment in the little section below. I will be continuing to play this game and cover this game, but I don't expect to see a whole lot of people playing this until they do some serious work to fix this game. And if the current player numbers are any indication, a lot of people agree with me. And a lot of people aren't willing to just bend over because of the fact that this game has something to do with Starbreeze and something to do with Payday 2. Stay strong, guys. I'll see you guys next time. This is Axiom of Good Time Gaming. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share if you like anything you saw today. And remember to always have a good time gaming.